Hello, my name is Mike Peppers. I'm chairman of the International Internal Audit Standards Board. By clicking on this link, you've expressed a desire in participating in a very significant and historic project for enhancing and elevating the standards of our profession. For that, I thank you. For more than 2 years now, my great colleagues on the Standards Board and on the staff at the Institute of Internal Auditors have been working tirelessly on a project that we believe is going to be a part of the tools that our professionals have to elevate their ability to serve their organizations and their many stakeholders. And that's the standards by which we conduct our work. I'd like to share some of the highlights and significant changes that you'll want to look for and be mindful of as you review the proposal that has just been released for a 90-day public comment period. The first thing that'll be clear is that we're changing the name. The International Standards for the Professional Practice of Internal Auditing will now be named Global Internal Audit Standards, or just Standards. Also, we think one of the significant changes is both structural and really fundamental, because we've taken the previous 6 elements that were in the International Professional Practices Framework, or IPPF, and we have reorganized them and we believe made them more clear, easier to access and to use. To do that, we created 5 domains. Let me tell you what each of those are. First, the purpose of internal auditing, a statement about what we are, what we do. The second domain is ethics and professionalism. The third is governing the internal audit function. Fourth is managing the internal audit function. And domain 5 is performing internal audit services. Those domains house the purpose, the principles that have been developed, and the standards that will make up the new global internal audit standards that I referenced. So let's talk through each of those for just a moment. In the purpose statement, there aren't any principles or standards associated with it, but it's that brief statement. It pulls together elements of both the current mission and definition into one, let's say, elevator speech that you can use to describe what internal auditing is. Then in domain 2, which is ethics and professionalism, we've incorporated the things that were previously in the Code of Ethics and the individual attributes into this domain. It really applies to everyone. And so we made it a domain in and of itself. Then we looked at the principles, and in domains 2 through 5, there are now 15 principles. There were previously 10, and we've organized them in such a way that they align in the domains, and each of the standards then is mapped and rolls up into the principles. Within each section of standards, we've added 2 things that are called considerations for implementation and considerations for evidence of conformance. The considerations for implementation will be some things that are preferred practices or ideas for implementing the requirements of the standards. That does pull from some of the things that were previously in other areas of guidance. So just because we've worked to make the standards more clear and concise, that doesn't always mean shorter. Sometimes we've added some things to the standards, but the benefit is that it's all in one place. It's a bit of that one-stop shop that you'll be able to go and see the topic that you're looking for and get the information all in one place. Then also, the considerations for evidence of conformance will give ideas and ways to demonstrate how you've actually carried out the requirement and give you some suggestions along those lines. You'll also notice that consulting, the word consulting, has now been replaced with advisory throughout the standards. And you won't any longer see the A's and the C's that we previously have had. Basically, we had the feeling that the same ideas for implementing standards, the same activities that you do really apply to most any engagement. You just carry it out in different ways. In the section of governance, the third domain of governance, we have done some things. And this is probably one of the areas where we'll want you to look, because we'll see some of the most significant changes. We've worked to be more clear on what board responsibilities are related to the internal audit function. And we've also broadened the concept to reflect the significance of how important the board is in areas such as establishing the internal audit mandate for the function, things that include its authority, roles, and responsibilities. We've also clarified the definition and the use of the term board. It's challenging because around the world in our many organizations and different sectors, the governing bodies are called different things and may not be referred to as a board, but we wanted to be clear what we are talking about, what entity that we are referring to, that entity that really has the primary role in governing the internal audit function. In domain 4, which talks about managing the internal audit function, we've really worked to elevate and clarify the roles and responsibilities of the chief audit executive and his or her team in managing the internal audit function. It's going to give ideas and concepts that will and clarify concepts that we'll be putting in place, like strategy, methodologies, effective communication, and use of technical resources. Then in domain 5, we've expanded on the guidance and the standards around performing the internal audit services. And as I mentioned, that's whatever type of engagement it might be. Again, the key elements: communication, planning, evaluating, and documenting. This will all be very clear to you whenever you look through the standards and you see some of the things that we've put in place. We also have some requirements around continuing professional education that you'll want to review and comment on. Lastly, we recognized whenever we did our research over the years about the things that you were looking for, there was a desire to have some guidance that is on topics that's timely, things that are emerging issues that may be coming out. And we realized that guidance is very much needed, but perhaps not in standards. So we've looked for other ways that we can provide that type of guidance. And currently there is a group that's looking on and working with what we are calling topical requirements, such that when you do audits in these certain areas of emerging interest or risk to your organizations, it gives some guidance on how to look and review governance, risk management, and control processes that are associated with those different topics. Well, the standards board and staff have put in thousands, literally thousands of hours to get us to this point. We're excited about it, and now we're eager for you to see the end result. And now we need you to put in some time to review these proposals that we have and to give us your comments. Please share with us the things that you would have suggestions about, the things that you support, the things that you think perhaps need some more work. We're going to capture all of this, gather it, get together, make whatever changes may be necessary, and then work to get the final product out by the end of this calendar year. We're excited to do that, and we thank you very much for your participation, your interest, and mostly for your work in the internal audit profession. Thank you.